Deforestation is causing serious environmental problems in Vietnam. Forests are needed to absorb the carbon dioxide humans emit. Without them, too much carbon dioxide in the air threatens to play a role in warming up the planet's atmosphere and contributing to climate change, with disastrous consequences for those who depend on the Earth's resources. That's where REDD+ comes in. REDD+ is a scheme that aims to make forests more valuable standing than cut down, by placing financial value on the carbon stored in trees. Under the REDD+ mechanism, REDD+ payments would be channeled to local communities that can show reduced carbon emissions from forests. What is participatory carbon monitoring? Before communities can be paid for the carbon stored in their trees, they must first measure forests and be able to show that they have reduced carbon emissions by scaling back deforestation. Professional companies and satellite technology may be used to measure and monitor emissions reductions in forests. But a more cost-effective approach, which also builds capacity and awareness at the local level, is to engage individuals and local forest management units in measuring their forests. This approach is called participatory carbon monitoring. Participatory carbon monitoring involves simple steps to collect basic forest measurements in order to estimate the amount of carbon stored in forests. These steps are tailored for local villagers, forest owners, as well as forest rangers and officers, and they follow international standards for carbon estimation. Though simple in nature, participatory carbon monitoring does require participants to be trained to ensure data is collected properly. As we are aware, forests can absorb CO2 sequestrated in the form of carbon in trees. A measured volume per carbon per hectare of forests can help assess CO2 sequestration capacity of a forest and its additional absorption of carbon dioxide over time. And this facilitates the assessment of its environmental values, especially in the estimation of carbon volume in reducing emissions from deforestation. As a step towards preparing Vietnam for REDD+, the UN REDD program has piloted participatory carbon monitoring training in 2 districts in Lam Dong province, Lam Ha and Dinh Linh. This piloting was a good opportunity for forest rangers and local forestry staff to be involved and to be trained as trainers so that monitoring knowledge could in turn be transferred to local communities. There are 6 carbon sinks in the forest, including above-ground trees, shrubs, herbs, grass, and non-timber forest products, litter, dead wood, roots and soil. Each of these sinks requires different indicators for calculating its carbon stock. The UN REDD program's participatory carbon monitoring training course in Vietnam covered measurement techniques such as delineating boundaries of managed forest units, locating and setting up randomly positioned sample plots, collecting data and samples to estimate biomass for the 5 carbon pools, recording and reviewing data for analysis. This program is very new to me. Today we are trained how to monitor carbon by experts from Thanh Nguyen University under UN REDD program. Participants were introduced to new inventory instruments such as GPSs, clinometers, and concepts such as sample plots. And once they were acquainted with these new tools, most participants actively engaged in carrying out each of the monitoring steps. By participating in the UN REDD program's carbon monitoring training, villagers were able to experience a hands-on approach to understanding carbon estimation in forests and to have a better understanding of the role of forests in climate change mitigation. By the end of the exercise, villagers expressed confidence in conducting carbon monitoring and also hopes for REDD+ payments, which have the potential to improve their living conditions. I hope this program will help us generate more incomes. I'm very excited today as I have learnt how to measure trees, slopes and stems. We would not be in a position to participate in this program if our technical capacity is not ready now. As a leading forestry expert, which solutions do you think could bring the program to local people sooner? This is a substantial program. It requires a strategic and systematic approach by the state management. There should be in place institutional arrangements from national, provincial, district, communal to village levels. We also need a transparent division of responsibilities all among segments and individuals and training plans. The second is a financial issue. We must have financial resources earmarked for this purpose and how to allocate the resources for whom. These are steps we need to prepare carefully. Where will REDD go to and what about its effectiveness? The great advantage of REDD is not merely to protect forests, but it proves how better forests to be protected and how forest protection to be worthily paid through its implementation. REDD will produce effective results if it is well implemented. We need REDD to come soon to help villagers to be more confident in their ownership of forests through its support programs. Anyone engaged in this assignment must turn this work into a new career as a means of livelihood for the villagers. This is a crucial factor to secure forest protection. The next steps for participatory carbon monitoring in Vietnam will be to figure out how to integrate the data into national systems for reporting on reduced carbon emissions in the forestry sector. Stakeholders from central government agencies, professional institutes, local government offices, as well as communities will need to come together to discuss how best this can be addressed. Moving forward, it is certain that participatory carbon monitoring has the potential to play an exciting role in the implementation of REDD+ in Vietnam.